All right. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us again for another episode of Tales and Tackle Vancouver Island. It is brought to you by Black Label Craft Jerky. It's damn good jerky. Call me to get yours. I am very pleased to be joined today by Dave and Jesse, the recent winners of the Boater Series Open with the Western Fishing League on Elk and Beaver Lake a couple of weeks ago. I'll be honest, viewers, I'm a little bittersweet in having this interview because up until the last 15 minutes of the freaking tournament, me and my partner were in the lead of that particular event. So yeah, they came up late and snuck in behind us and smoked us out. So anyway, Dave, Jesse, thanks for joining us, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Awesome. So hey, yeah, you had a very strong finish to the day, but tell us about the day. You know, where are the bass at kind of for that event a couple weeks ago? I know they've changed by now, but what were they at back then?
Well, we had gone in the previous weekend and did a little scouting around on our kayaks, and we found them to be like tucked way up underneath the trees, close to the banks, but in like impossible areas to get to, usually in boats, right? So we had the kayaks and we were getting in there and we located them then the weekend before. And so we just thought we'd go back and probably do the same thing. We didn't think we'd even head into Beaver, just probably hit the banks of elk. And, we're smallie fishermen, by heart. So,
Totally.
So we went to smash them first and then maybe pick up a big, largely along the way.
Yeah.
Head down into Beaver later if things weren't going well.
So, Jesse, who caught the first fish?
Well, who caught the first fish, Dave?
I think Jesse caught the first fish. It was pretty quick into it.
Yeah, we're 5 minutes into the derby, I think, and I hooked into a nice size smallmouth. Was it smallmouth?
Yeah, smallmouth.
Smallmouth.
It's 19 inches.
Yeah.
It's our second biggest fish.
So, yeah, it was a good start to the morning, that's for sure.
Yeah, I get the juices flowing. You think it's going to be a banger day when you get that kind of a start, right?
Absolutely. It was a boat full of young bucks beside us watching. It was great.
Yeah.
An audience, that's a special catch then.
Yeah, absolutely. But it it didn't come that easy after that. I think we went probably another hour before we caught another fish.
Oh, geez.
And it was a decent one, about 17 and a half, I think, somewhere around there. And and then we got another one.
I had a couple 14s too. So.
Yeah, but we caught. Yeah, there was a couple little ones, but we got those. Oh yeah, that's right. You caught a couple little ones right away, and then we bumped those out when we went down into Beaver. But that was later on. Like we fished until probably 12:30 on elk, and decided we were, the bite got slow, and we decided we were going to go back into Beaver, or go down into Beaver, and we got two. I think we upgraded just two 15s from a couple 14s to 50s.
I didn't really hear much of fish coming out of Beaver for the event. I know Catherine and I headed down in there and toward the end of the day, and we got one 15 and a half, I think it was. It wasn't really anything to speak. It didn't even make our bag.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of boats in there. That's why we just swung around the island, basically headed back out.
Yeah, I caught two largies within 15 minutes of hitting Beaver. Then that was it. And then,
and so we had to back out into elk and decided to go further into the trees. And like we had our boat covered in trees, like you couldn't even see us half the time. And we were into places where you could only get in and cast at two spots, and boat couldn't move anymore. And, and that's where they were. That's where we were finding them.
Way up in like 6 inches of water.
Exactly. Casting overlogs and underlogs and just places you couldn't even see. You knew that the water was there, but you're just chucking it in to see, skipping as far as you can get it in.
Yeah.
They were just taking off. And so
you figure they were fry guarding by that point? Do you think it was still mid-spawn?
I don't know. It was hard to say. We didn't see any fry, but
But the water was filthy.
Yeah, and they pretty much acted like they were guarding for sure. Um, just the way that you get a bite, you cast it right back in there, right back on it, and it wasn't like bed fishing where you got to entice them. They were just smashing it right away.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, so which you, Jesse? Was it you that caught the big one, the 20.25 fish?
Oh, that was me.
That was
That was
Dave.
good.
That was
That
the
must have
of the day.
Yeah, 15
heartbreaking.
minutes left, and we actually our trolling motor battery died, and we were just paddling around right at the boat launch, kind of just waiting for the end.
It was windy. We were getting blown into the rhubarb, so we fished the rhubarb, and it paid off.
But
That's
yeah,
great.
well, our battery was dead. We had both motors up, and we were trying not to get stuck in weeds and paddle ourselves around.
That's hilarious. So, what did you catch that up shallow as well?
What's that?
You got that up shallow as well?
Yeah. Jesse was fishing underneath the trees. It was still up shallow. He was in the trees, and I had like nowhere to cast to because my boat was half covered in tree, and so I just threw it into the reeds, just kind of a Hail Mary shot, and
There you go.
it took off, and then it took off again.
Took off again. I
That's the way
understand.
Dave rolls, though. I'll catch 10 fish throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, he'll pull out a tank.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Always.
But I understand that you weren't the first person to catch that particular fish on that day.
Well, no, that was the other one.
That was the other derby.
That was the other derby.
Oh, okay, that was the previous one.
Right.
So that's a good anchor fish for the Elk Lake tournament. That was great.
We had at that time we had a 15 and a half or 15 and a quarter. It was a 5-inch upgrade right at the end of the day. So
I think
that fish, it would have been your tournament.
Oh, absolutely. We ended up half an inch behind you guys.
It was intense, man.
Three 19s, an 18 and 3/4 and an 18 and a half on the day. Yeah. And I thought we were sitting pretty good. I guess we were sitting pretty good at the end of the day, but
absolutely, yeah. It was it was just one of those days. It started really slow, and then right around 1 o'clock, it just started picking up.
Nice.
We just kept upgrading and upgrading. I think about 4 times we upgraded our fish.
That's great. So what were you guys doing? If you want to share some juice with the viewers.
Well, we were just flinging dingers all day long. We had other things on and tried. Like I was doing some shallow cranking, and I had like a jig on, and just like a beaver, and we weren't getting anything on them. They just weren't working, and with smallmouth, they love the dingers. So
yeah, they totally do.
And where we were fishing, it was almost impossible to throw anything else except for a weightless dinger, right? It just skipped along the water perfectly fine, get in underneath those branches and under the logs, and into those holes.
So what's your go-to color?
Well, I didn't have one really for there until the week before.
Interesting.
And I went to Bass Pro Shop. I picked out some of their worms. They had a squash. It's called squash. And
interesting.
So when we went back there the weekend before, that's what they were biting on. So for me anyway. And so I went home and I had some plastic and stuff left over. So I made up a bunch of my own.
You made up your own for the tournament.
Yeah. Just the same color, basically. Here's what it is right here. It's orange and green.
Okay.
I put some flake in it just to give it a little bit more shine. But that was it. 5-inch there and VMC wacky hook for me.
And what were you catching on, Jesse?
On pumpkin spice.
Dingers though?
Yeah, dingers as well.
Yeah, it was
I keep it simple. I use 3 colors.
Yeah.
And I catch.
Most of mine on the day were caught on wacky as well. I do a belly weighted wacky with a belly weighted EWG hook. Texas.
Right. Yeah,
Kills the hell out of the plastic, but it gives it a nice extra little bit of weight, but you still get the shimmy as it goes down.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Nice.
no, it was. I mean, you got to use what's working, right? And it always works for us. We're 90% probably Danger chuckers, and I love the
It's a
crankbait.
local legend.
Crankbait season. I love crankbaits, right? Now, in the spring and fall.
So let's talk about that. We're I think we're pretty much out of the spawn everywhere. I don't know of anything that's still mid spawn. I think we're all, fry guarding and post spawn and stuff like that. So the seasons definitely are changing. So as we get into the late spring, early summer, what's your go-to techniques?
Um, well, I'll keep using the plastic for sure. Um, a lot of times we'll go out a little deep, fish the offshore spots, because the fish will back off and go back down for a while, and still net rigging and
Cranking.
cranking most of the time. I'm not one for jerk baits, stuff like that. I'll put a
Hmm,
spinner bait and stuff. I like spinner bait fishing too, but
yeah,
I'm a spin cast fisher, so
I love
mostly
it.
the stuff that I can throw on my spin cast rod, that's what I use.
Catch it on a jerk bait and a worm is completely different. They're both awesome though.
Yeah,
There's I love jerkbait. I really fell in love with it last year, and I always have one tied on that or a spook for topwater. I
right.
leave it interchangeable in the same rod. But yeah, I love that. But plastic is wacky rig is so
Well,
versatile.
in the summer, I mean, the summer they'll go after a lot of stuff. So,
Yeah,
so you have your choice basically what you like to fish most of the time, and just depending on where they are.
yeah.
Top water, it's I like the plopper or the chopo or anything like that. But I've got a spook in there too, a bone colored spook I use once in a while.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I like the chopo.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun lure, and since it came out a few years ago, there's no doubt about that.
Right. I just saw
So,
Bass Pro Shop put out their own version
oh,
um,
interesting.
of the plopper, and I picked one up and I checked it around a little bit last weekend, and sounds good, moves well, but didn't get anything on it.
Hey, you need to get into the bite. That's
Yeah,
cool. So where are you guys fishing now? We had an event last weekend, the small craft event, and I know that you guys were in that. And I've got
right,
an interview coming up with the winner of that, Freddie Landman. So viewers, take a look. That interview will be coming soon. But we got some events coming up, which I'll talk about in a minute. But now we're in between events. Where are you guys going for fishing? Where's your preferred lakes in
well,
non-event land?
Quinal is our preferred lake. I mean, it's close to home. It's 10 minutes from here, so we fish there quite a bit. Easy to just jump in after work, head down there. We went to Spider last weekend,
Oh, it's
and
cool.
that was tough fishing. It was tough fishing. We caught a few, but Jesse caught a bunch. But there was no size there,
Yeah.
but it was fun, beautiful lake. So, but we'll continue to go to Victoria and plop around there. But Quinal's usually we'll spend 60% of our time there.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's nice to make the visit down here. I know there's a few of you folks up by Nanaimo that make the trip down and like to get into the largies on Prospect and Beaver and stuff like that. There's some
Jesse
pretty good.
lives in Duncan. Jesse lives in Duncan, so he'll go to Shawnigan lots, right?
Cool. Yeah, Shawnigan all the time. I love it. Shawnigan's my favorite lake. It's the biggest lake we have, so you can there's lots of nooks and crannies to get into, and it's
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
clean water. You're not fighting with the algae every day.
Couple options of where to launch on either side, right? So it's nice you can figure out the wind direction and
Plus, you got
make a plan from there.
every type of fishing you want to do there. You want to
Yeah.
go deep, shallow, dock, structure, whatever you want. It's all
There's
there.
largemouths in there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks to somebody who that's bonus. Same with Langford,
I caught
Jesse.
my first largie in Langford last weekend.
Yeah, and it was
nice.
at 18.
18.
That's
So
a nice largemouth in
that's
there.
getting a good size for that lake too. Yeah.
That's great. So, we've got, I mentioned earlier, we got those events for the Western Fishing League coming up on Saturday, June 14th is the next Boater Series event, and that is on Shawnigan. I'm going to be missing that event, unfortunately, because I've got a
Oh, no.
walleye fishing trip back in Manitoba that I'm heading back that weekend.
Poor you, poor you.
I know, real rough.
Well,
So,
we won't really miss you too much, Eric. Sorry to say.
well, I don't know. Catherine's bringing in the big guns as with a backup. So
Yeah. There you
yeah,
go. I can
so
imagine.
we got a ringer going to fish for me on that weekend. So you'll have it cut out for you. So that's on the 14th, and then the next Saturday on the 21st is the next small craft event, and that's back on your guys' preferred lake. So
Yeah. Looking
there we
forward
go. Cornell. That's going to be both of those are going to be full summer mode. I think
Right.
by that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll get, some good numbers out for that one, for the Corral one. I know a bunch of people are going to camp, and
Yeah,
we're gonna try and pull something together, maybe a barbecue or something with the competitors.
that's a great idea.
We'll try and do something, but it's a great place. Zuiderzee campsite's a nice little spot. It's a good place to gather. They've
Yeah,
done a
they
lot
treat
of
us. They treat the league well there. They really do.
and they've done a whole bunch of upgrades. The place looks beautiful.
Forget about it. So yeah, so we got those events coming up on in a couple of weeks. So folks, keep your eyes open for the Facebook announcements of registration opening for those. You can register on the WFL website at www.westernfishingleague.com, and the registration's all online there. Instructions for payment and all that sort of fun stuff. Any advice, Jesse and Dave, for anglers that are preparing for those events?
Um, Bring some sunscreen.
Yeah,
But no, not really. Go out and have fun. Be safe. And
awesome.
it should be good fishing all the way around. So unless we get stuck in that, the post spawn blues that lakes get stuck in, that that hits every once in a while. But fingers crossed that's not happening. But
Absolutely.
you know,
Thanks. How about you, Jesse? What advice do you have for everybody?
If you want to see fish caught, follow me and Dave.
Hey,
oh
full
Lord,
confidence with these two.
that's funny.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for your time this evening. Very, very much appreciated.
Thank you.
I hope I get to interview again this season.
Yes,
Best
absolutely.
of luck. And yeah, tight lines, fellas.
Hopefully you get to interview yourself this year too.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the mechanics of that, how that would work.
Mirrors, bud, mirrors.
Yeah, I know, mirrors. Maybe I get a past event winner to interview me. I don't
There
know.
you go. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right,
Right
thanks, guys.
on,
Have a great evening.
Okay, cheers.
All right, bye now.
Lines.